How do you surrender to God in the middle of the storm? This is part two of my series, and today I am going to focus on understanding the number one thing that God requires from us as Christians, as believers, and then using that to demonstrate why surrendering is central to our faith. So let's start with the biggest requirement that God has of us as Christians, and the thing that we should aim for every single day is to please God. And so, what does God say about the central element that you need in order to please Him? And it's faith. It says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. So, what does faith and pleasing God have to do with surrendering? They are all connected, which is what I am learning. So, if you're new to my channel, I have been going through this series teaching myself how to surrender to God because I am going through a storm. And this season, I believe that God has brought this to a head because He has been sending me this test over and over again for almost 15 years now to learn how to surrender completely to Him, trusting that He has a better plan for me and I don't need to control everything. I don't need to have an answer for everything. I don't need clarity to move, that I can completely yield and do what I know to do and work as hard as I know how to work and move in the direction that He has led me, and then let God take the things that only He can do while I do what only the things that He has required me to do, and leave the things to Him that only God can do, right? And so I have never been able to be successful at yielding because not only am I doing what I know I should be doing, but I am not letting God do what He's supposed to be doing because I am trying to interfere and figure it out because my eyes and my mind cannot see how God is going to do it. And so He keep bringing back this test, and I know that it is essential for me to pass this test to move to the next elevation, to move to the next chapter of my life, because I believe that He keeps bringing it to me because it is essential. I need that. That is something that I need to unlock in order for Him to take me to the next level. So, what I wanted to talk about today was the fact that if it's impossible to please God without faith, then let's look at faith itself and what is required to sharpen and perfect our faith. And what I learned is that faith is not proven in comfort. God does not test your faith when everything is good because it's easy. When things are good, we can have all the faith we want because everything is working out. So, it's the barrier is low. We will believe. Your faith is proven in adversity. So, when you are experiencing a delay, when you are experiencing, the storm, you're in the middle of the storm, you feel stuck. Suddenly things that were good all of a sudden turns bad. Or you've been in a season of bad to worse to where you are at a point where you think that everything is going to break. All those seasons are where your faith is tested. And we know that God is doing everything for our own good for those who love and trust Him. And so, whatever you're going through, God is using it because we don't know what is behind it. Is God giving you or putting you through this season of delay, of feeling that you're stuck, or feeling that you're going from bad to worse to the impossible, to prepare you for something? Is He doing it to help you avoid something that you would have run into if you were going down that path? Is it that God is doing it to sharpen you so that you can receive the next gift? Maybe you're not ready for the next thing that you're praying for. You're not ready for the next thing that God has for you. And so He has to put you through this so that you can sharpen certain virtues. Maybe you need to learn patience. Maybe you need to learn compassion, empathy. Whatever it is, God is trying to teach you something through this. It may be that He wants you to pivot completely, that given everything that's happening, He doesn't want you to go in this direction anymore. He wants to go here. And if He doesn't put you through this, you will not look here. Maybe He wants you to go in a completely new season, in a completely new career, in a completely new direction, something that you thought was the thing. Now God is saying it's not. Let's move in this direction. So pivot and new are completely different. Pivot is just shifting in a different direction in the same lane. But starting something completely new, would you start it if God does not put you or take away what you currently have by force, by destroying it and leaving you with no doubt that that thing that you're on is not the way to go, by taking it away from you? So let me come back to what I was trying to say. If it's impossible to please God without faith, and faith is only proven in adversity, in trials, in challenges, then it means that when you're going through challenges, it is by design, number one, a test of your faith. And if you want to please God, then you want to aim for God giving you the strength to be able to endure. Because remember, in Psalm 23, it said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. It means that God anticipates that we'll be walking through the valley of the shadow of death. I mean, it doesn't get any close to being in an impossible situation than being in the valley of the shadow of death. But He said, even through that, He will be with you. So it just tells me that during this storm, during this season of adversity, during this moment where you don't feel like the presence of God is with you, He is there, but it is also a test of your faith. And to mature your faith, you have to surrender. So now let me bring it back to surrender. Why is surrender necessary? Because faith requires us to trust that God has a plan and that we are going to let Him be God, and then we're going to do what we have to do. And so in that moment right now, what I'm telling myself is this. First, I'm trusting that God has a better plan for me. That is why He's putting me in this season where I feel stuck. Everything I'm doing is not working. And so, it is a moment for me to pause and let God be God, and let Him direct me as to, is it that He's making everything, get stuck in this season to push me to birth the things that I need to birth during this season that I would never have looked at if I didn't feel stuck. So that's what I'm focused on. And then I'm trusting that He will take care of me. He will take care of my family. He will take care of our needs. Because, I am an entrepreneur and I eat what I kill. You know what I mean? I have to make the money. So if I am not making the money, it means that there is pressure. But I have to trust that if God, I am putting in my best, I am doing everything, and God is still not blessing what I'm doing and is just making me stay stuck, then He's showing me all these things that I need to prepare and do in this season of being stuck. And who knows what He's going to do. So I want to encourage you to think through the three things that I'm talking about. The fact that if it's impossible to please, if our main goal is to please God, our existence is to please God, and it's impossible to please God without faith. And faith cannot be proven in comfort, it can only be proven in adversity. Then in the season of adversity, our faith is also being tested. And if our faith is being tested, how do we pass that test? It's by living in peace and seeking God's peace, the peace that surpasseth all understanding. Remember, He said He will be with you in the valley of the shadow of death. And so now, rather than being anxious, you want the peace of God that surpasses all understanding to be with you. How do you get that peace? Well, it says in the Bible also that Do not lean on your own understanding. And in everything, acknowledge him, and he shall strengthen your path. So, if you're seeking peace during the storm, you have to release understanding. Because God says, you know, if you want the peace that surpasses all understanding, you have to surrender to him, and he will give it to you. And so if you're trying to understand, if you're looking for clarity, if you want everything to make sense before you make a move, or if you want everything to make sense in this season before you act, or before you get that peace in your heart, you're not going to get it. You're always going to be anxious. And so essentially I'm trying to connect the dots for myself that my faith is being tested. I need peace. It doesn't mean that everything is good, but you can still have peace during the storm. And that is what I'm seeking, that peace that surpasses all understanding. And for that to come to me, I have to trust that God is in control, and that I don't understand what he's doing, but I know he's in control. And then I can release everything to him, knowing that his plan for me is better than what anything I could dream of. And he's also the God of suddenly, because sometimes, especially when it comes to financial challenges, you feel like the bill is coming. What is going to happen? So you feel pressure. It's tomorrow. The bill is due tomorrow. It's due next week. And so we're trying to figure out, we cannot see with our own eyes how this is going to happen. But God is a God of suddenly. He can change your life in a moment. And so I am taking all this as comfort as I navigate my journey of learning to surrender to God. I hope this was helpful to somebody today.